Hey guys, it's Edwin here, and today I'm going to talk about the pain body. And most of these concepts will be coming from Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now. And I'm going to experience why the pain body keeps you stuck and why your current pain wants you to stay there. So, the thing is, in life, when you go through any painful experience, you experience painful emotions. And when those emotions are not fully processed in the moment you are experiencing that painful event, then they become stuck emotions. So you end up carrying those emotions with you, and then they become like old emotional pain. They are stored in your body or in your mind. So these old emotions are as a result of the painful experience that were not fully processed during the occurrence or the moment when that painful experience occurred. It's what now it's called the pain body, and it's just an accumulation of old emotional pain. So when a traumatic experience is not fully processed in the time it's occurring, it slips into the unconscious mind and becomes part of the pain body. And we develop this pain body mostly when we are kids or in our childhood, especially when we are brought up in an environment where our emotions are neglected or where we experience some kind of abuse from our caregivers. This is because as a child, when you are emotionally distressed, you need an adult's intervention to help you with those negative emotions. So if you receive proper care, validation, and support, you'll integrate those negative emotions and even learn to self-regulate or to regulate your emotions or to manage your emotions. And on the other hand, if you don't on a frequent basis receive these interventions or this validation when you are distressed, then you'll accumulate those negative emotions without fully processing them. And when you don't like integrate those emotions in that present moment, they become part of the pain body. The other thing is we all have pain bodies in one way or the other because we all absorb pain and negative energy from our environment or from our upbringing. And not all pain bodies are actually the same because we've all lived through different painful experiences. But the more frequent the painful experiences, the greater the pain body. And the pain body can either be dormant or active, and it is reactivated by external or internal triggers. An external trigger is something like being rejected by a lover. An internal trigger is like having a thought about some at the past or had thought about something. And the sensitivity of these triggers depends on the closeness of that trigger to the actual traumatic event in childhood that had a huge building block for the pain body. So, if the trigger is coming from your lover or your relationship, then there is a closeness of that relationship with the relationship you had with your caregivers. The thing which happens when like that pain body is triggered is you will experience an extreme emotional reaction or an emotional outburst, something like a full blown rage, even when the triggering event, even when that present event doesn't necessitate such a huge emotional reaction. For example, you might be so angry that the traffic is not flowing, and it's just something which is beyond your control, but you find yourself so angry, or something like you are so angered by just a housefly. So the pain body usually takes over our minds, and we even identify with it, and it can feed you with beliefs like I'm always to blame for other people's unhappiness. Like for example, like you're always to blame for you blame yourself for the your abusive ex's change behavior, even when you know it's beyond your control. This is because you've identified yourself as being someone who's always causes pain or someone who's always live lived with pain. When you live with this pain for so long, or when you are stuck with this pain body, it is like a parasite which looks for painful experiences or scary instances in life to feed on. So it will unconsciously lead you to instances that are hurtful, as the pain is the energy it needs to survive. So you'll find yourself inflicting pain on yourself which leads to deep self-hatred, or you beating yourself up for ending up in those painful situations, and the pain is fed back to the pain body. So it's more like a vicious cycle of negative energies being fed back to the pain body, which in turn strengthens the pain body. So in short, when you're not aware of the pain body, you are inflicting yourself more pain, and you'll just be feeding the dark side of your consciousness and making it even stronger and making the pain body stronger. For example, you might want to go back to that toxic relationship because it feeds the pain body, because it's a place where you are constantly in pain. So when you are constantly in pain, it feeds your pain body, which you are identified with. Or let's say when you are gaslighting yourself or emotionally abusing yourself for staying in that relationship, that just strengthens your current identity, your identification with the pain. Hope that makes sense. So how do you get rid of the pain body? The first thing you have to do is to acknowledge that the pain body is there, and you don't need to feed it with more negative energy in the present moment. This doesn't mean that you numb those emotions or you feed yourself with those false positive vibes. It means that you just allow it to be there without resistance. Like, do not resist the pain you are experiencing presently any longer. So you don't need to beat yourself up for getting into those painful experiences. Just be compassionate with yourself. It's more of starving the pain or providing the pain body with less supply in the present moment. And in instances where you find yourself like having an emotional outburst because of a small event, realize it as this: like, it's not a new emotion, it's because of locked emotions which are in your subconscious mind. It's because of old emotions which have never been processed. That's why you are feeling that way. That's why you are feeling that rage in traffic. It's not because of that event, it's because it's an accumulation of the emotion for that of that event and past stuck emotions. So the reaction is not caused by a new emotion, but it is an accumulation of old stuck emotions. And once you've started to show yourself some grace and compassion, then it's time to really go deeper to address the original source of the pain, which is that past traumatic event. So you can find a safe space to process those past stuck emotions from those past negative experiences. So your resistance to a negative experience is what creates an identification with the resisted experience. When you resist, you identify with it, but when you release, you disidentify with it. And the stronger the resistance of reality, the more charge or the more anchor it is that is holding that identity of the pain body in place. So when you resist something so much, or when you resist reality so much, there is a strong identification to that instance. Hope you found that informative, guys. So at times you get stuck in pain because that's the place where pain wants you to be. It's become part of you. Until next time, have a nice day.